Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the OA Part 2, Episode 3. It's called Magic Mirror. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And I was right in my thinking that this episode would take place entirely on Earth 1. And yes, I'm using the terminology Earth 1 for this Earth.
Well, they're not going to, so we might as well.
Yes, Earth 2 for Season 2 Earth. Yeah, and we have the titular magic mirror, which this is one of the things I loved about the first season, and it really made a return in this episode. Is just like how weird some of the concepts are, but they feel really like normal in the show itself. If that makes sense.
I don't know if I agree they feel normal.
Okay, maybe normal's not the right word, but they somehow convince me to go along with the ride with the characters, even though the idea that they're travelling to a different city to pick up this mirror because there might be a spirit in it from another dimension.
Yeah, normal is the wrong word, because even the characters are aware that this isn't normal. Real, I think that it feels real that they're doing this.
Yes, it feels, and that was one of my favourite things about the first season, because so much of that first season and what I liked about it was the OA trying to convince them that all this had happened and it was real. And there was details that were brought back up with the French finding the books. I was like, oh yeah, yes, I remember all this. And we find out Scott Wilson, who passed away actually last year. Well, I think it was last year. It's been a while, but yeah, the Prerea's dad. So obviously they'd shot this a while ago because he's here. And he's like, no, like, the therapist, that was his idea or her idea to buy these books and see if it would like snap her out of this delusion. But that didn't happen until after she started telling you all these things. So which doesn't quite convince French. Still, he's still very skeptical. He's definitely the most skeptical of the bunch.
But this is what I said in the when we reviewed the first episode of the season. I said I was a little bit disappointed about the clarity of the answers straight away. Yeah, right. And it was always coming, but I said what I liked so much about the first season was the kind of the aspect of faith versus fact. And that makes a full return in this episode.
It does. And I actually like that they held off for a couple episodes, because it was exciting when we saw Buck at the end of the last episode. It was exciting to sort of go there, and then this episode felt like a treat to come to this after a couple and have the
I disagree.
I know you're going to disagree.
I think I would have loved this as the first episode. Because we're already in spoilers. When we get to that moment where it's OA got out, right? At the end, when they get that message, that would have been oh shit. Oh, okay, now then we transition into the other stuff.
It would have worked. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't have worked doing this first, but I think there was something exciting to come back to these characters, because in a lot of ways these characters were half the show. They were half the heart of the show.
They were, yeah, absolutely.
Not all of it, of course, because we had the captives and the cells as well. But arguably, we felt more attached to these characters because these characters were like us. They were hearing the story and they were being skeptical of what was true and what wasn't. So we were along with the ride with them more than anyone else. And I think it's interesting that French is still very skeptical. Steve found, because he was obviously the aggressive one all last season, but he kind of found purpose in believing this, and he is the most devout believer, now. So it really felt like
along with Buck, I'd say.
Yeah, along with Buck. So they have this all going, and I should mention there was a correction in the comments. One of the things that we had forgotten since last season, and we've mentioned it on both reviews so far, wildly incorrectly. We keep speculating if happened though she got her eyesight back. That happened before she went back home. That happened when she was still with him after one of the NDEs. And I fact checked. That's all panned out. This is on
2.5 years, folks.
Yeah. Okay, maybe it's not on us. It's on them for taking so bloody long. But that's poor memory. And I have to admit, until they mentioned that, I had forgotten about the creepy Homer in the mirror scene. But as soon as they brought it up, I went, oh yeah, I remember speculating about that and like what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And what's funny is Buck kind of just dismisses it and says, "Oh, that was different because you had the scar on your head and you were kind of." And I'm like, "But was it?"
Yeah, but that's the thing. All these moments, it's triggering. I was in the last with the hand in the vent, and you're describing the stuff in the hallway, and I was getting these flashes of, "Oh shit, yeah, I remember this stuff."
It's doing a good job of kind of keeping you up to date with all these little details as it goes.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Usually just a little bit too late for where it could have been really useful.
Yeah, but it kind of makes it click right after, and it's making it work in a way that
it does this because obviously a lot of TV will remind you about something towards the start of an episode, and then 20 minutes later you'll have kind of forgotten that comment was mentioned, and then it'll be relevant, and you're like, oh, that was smart. They reminded me earlier. This does this weird thing where it plays the moment, and you're like, oh, okay, and then it 2 minutes later he goes, oh yeah, hey, remember that thing in season 1? And you go, oh, that would have had way more meaning if you told me that beforehand.
Yeah, but I still think this is the right way to do it. I think because sometimes reminding you beforehand can actually be clunky or set up really obvious that we're dealing with it. And I don't think when they wrote this, they intended it to be 2.5 years later when we finally saw it.
I agree. I think long term, in terms of watching the show in the future,
yeah, when you're binging the whole thing, this will be
better. It's just weird right now, and it's so against convention of what I expect from TV.
So we saw Rachel in Buck's mirror, and he wakes up middle of the night and sees and hears and actually gets that it's Rachel just based on the singing that was described by OA in season 1. And
better memory than us.
Better memory. Well, for it's been like what, a week, maybe.
Yeah, not the point.
Yeah, not quite the same time scale. And it cuts to Prairie's funeral, and I'm like, oh shit, okay. So if Nina did come to this body, she dead.
Shit. Yeah,
she well dead.
And distinctly tells us that there's no coming back for our Prairie.
Yeah, not quite right. And obviously not for the other group as well, because we know they're all lying in a field dead.
Which I assume that's why Rachel is stuck in the mirror, right? Because she hasn't got a body to return to.
That's a good way of looking at it. You may be right there. Yeah, because there's no body to return to. So she naturally went back home to her Earth, but nothing to go on. And I like that Buck even pointed out door's still left open, and that's why Rachel went to him. I think that's a really nice touch. Again, going back to Buck being maybe a more of a believer than some of the others are.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, we get to reconnect with everyone in the group. I kind of like that Andrew's in the group now as well, and Steve is like gun ho about just doing the movements and leaving because his life's kind of shitty and they don't want to stay here. But French is like, hey, I've actually kind of got a future. I got a scholarship, but things might be okay for me. I don't know if I want to leave.
Yeah,
quite right. But everyone else is kind of in middling places, and Rachel what she sings is very, very simple. And it's not until someone asks after they're trying to find the mirror and they can't get to it because it's already left because Buck's family's moving house, stuff's been taken away, it's been sent to Goodwill. It's not the local depot, it's been sent to the big city national one, and eventually they ask, okay, what did Rachel sing? And Buck's like, does a little hum, and what notes are they? They're like BBA.
I'll be honest. This is the first thing where, even when it's happened, I have no recollection of.
Mm-hmm.
Buck has perfect pitch.
Okay, cool.
Because you can't just know those things without context unless you have perfect pitch. And I have no recollection whatsoever of that being mentioned, but maybe it was. Like I'm saying, a lot of these things when they do them, it's triggering memories of stuff.
I don't even know if you need perfect pitch to make this leap. Maybe Buck gets there a bit quicker than you would if you didn't, but just in the sense where if you know enough about music, because I don't have perfect pitch, not even close to it. I couldn't tell you what notes these were, but I can tell you it's the two same notes and then going down one.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I get that, but it didn't feel like Buck was deducing that. It felt like, oh no, what notes were those? Okay, it was that.
Right. And everyone's like, oh shit, we need to get BBA. So they end up, again, taking this kind of leap of faith and not telling their parents and driving to try and get this mirror. And then eventually spending a night in a church, waiting for something to happen, and nothing does. It almost does. French gets back from his little adventure, his meet up with the older man, and he almost hears something. He kind of looks at it, and it's like, okay, not quite.
Yeah.
But they go to eventually this medium who is very upset they've brought the broken mirror, which, by the way, I was like, okay, at some point in this episode that mirror's getting smashed and they're all going to be heartbroken. I'm seeing this scene coming, and it totally did. The medium was not happy that they brought a broken mirror with a spirit in it into her house. But she charges them for the deluxe package, and they do this little sermon. And she's got this like little dish of water or something out on the table, and she's expecting that to be the focus.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she might communicate this. It could take hours, and there's two options here. You go, okay, someone's going to be really cynical and just be like, yeah, whatever, or it's going to happen immediately.
Do you know what I like about this is that it tells me that she's not a complete fraud in the sense that what she did help and did something, but she also has these weird understandings that are complete bullshit. Because, it didn't come from there. It came from...
I think it's just... If we go along the lines of that everything she's saying was true, that other spirits have contacted her before, she's just never encountered anything as strong as this. Because she says, oh, it might be just a scratch. It could be barely anything. And that's presumably what her past experience is. This was on a whole other level.
Yeah.
I don't think she was lying to them.
That's it. I did kind of feel as though we're walking towards the TV. The TV was very reflective, so maybe it's just the idea that Rachel went into the TV because all the mirrors were covered.
Yeah, could be.
It could be that simple. But it starts playing all these different clips. Notably, one of them was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I did quite enjoy. Yeah. But it does this thing, and this is where it's not the exact same feeling as say Lost, but it's one of those things that reminds me of Lost, and it did this a few times in season 1, where it would sort of give the characters messages through these cryptic kind of everyday things.
Do you know what this reminded me of more than anything?
Yeah,
it's Bumblebee.
Oh,
talking through the radio.
Yeah, sure, okay, I could see that. Going through, there's Wheel of Fortune, some movie clips. There was all these different things.
Yeah.
It was basically saying, Owe escaped, blind woman escaped, got to the other side, and it's and they're all happy because this confirms Owe got out. Because obviously throughout the episode, Steve believes she got out, but everyone else is like, no.
That's the moment where I was like, I wish this had been the first episode. If all episode was them, the group still not sure whether to believe it or not, and they were having this debate, and and we're kind of again still with them like we were last season, and then you get to this moment. That would have been so much better.
I can see why that worked. I don't know if I'd agree it was better. I think there's benefits doing it both ways round.
Fair enough.
But it keeps going. It keeps going. The message goes further, and ultimately it says it's only safe for BBA to come over, and then we see the stained glass window at the end. And the final moment, this show loves to do that snap ending where it just cuts.
It really does, doesn't it?
And BB is walking towards the TV and is going to touch it. And I don't think she's going to go through the TV to the other dimension. I don't think.
But you're not entirely sure, are you?
Yeah.
I was like, is she going through?
Because what I actually think this is saying, it's not that it's only safe for BB to travel over to the other dimension. Theoretically, the others could travel over safely via the movements, but there's no way for them to aim their movements at that dimension, right? However, what I think it's saying is that the house that's special on the other Earth is maybe also a way to go through. However, young people are susceptible to, as we've seen, go crazy, various other things.
That's
I think
interesting.
BBA being an adult is why it's safe for her to maybe go that way.
Maybe. I was speculating more along the lines of BBA is free somewhat over there. Maybe the kids, maybe Haps got done in that room, so done something. There's no body safe for them to jump over to.
Oh, you think Rachel saw them in that room?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, no, Hap's got all the kids. It's don't send them over because it's not safe for them.
Yeah, they'll be dead. No, I can see that.
Could.
If Rachel saw them, then
yeah,
sure, because we know obviously she saw the drawings, which is why she knows what they look like. She knows who she's talking to. But I was thinking it was more because everything we've seen with this game and testing, it's all been young people who have been going to this house and seemingly going crazy. The ones who have been, at least the one guy we've seen go out the window.
I'm absolutely not saying you're wrong. You might be right. It just wasn't what my mind went to.
Yeah, but no, you might be right. It might be. It depends what you saw in that room. It really does.
It really does. Yeah.
But you may be right. It may be that those people are all screwed on this side, so you can't send them here.
That's what my first thought was. But I mean, I could be completely wrong.
I do think that what the show needs this season at some point for OA is for her to realise that she did technically kill someone by coming over here.
Yeah, it's gonna feel weird if it never really addressed because they technically addressed it last episode, but shrugged it off.
Yeah, she actually actively said, "I don't care." Now, don't get me wrong. In the scene itself, she doesn't come off as being malicious about it because she's just like, it's like
survival.
Yeah, Hap's trying to like make her talk about everything, and she's trying to circumvent his questioning. So I don't really read that as her being completely,
No, and of course it wasn't intentional on her part. So we don't necessarily have to portray her as a bad person.
But her saying she doesn't care kind of has to be balanced out later with something else.
We need some remorse.
Yeah. A realization that she essentially murdered someone, and maybe we'll find out Nina was horrible, but that won't necessarily make it completely okay either. So
no, it doesn't just make it okay, but it make it better.
Yeah. So now, interesting stuff here, and it's interesting that the spirit of Rachel came for help. It's like she can't go to anyone on the same Earth anymore, but she could find these people that OA also trusted, and that's really encouraging. So I wonder, like, do we go a couple of episodes again back in Earth 2 and get another full one in Earth 1 again?
Or are we just cutting around now?
Assuming BA doesn't just automatically go through and there's more of a journey again to get her wherever she needs to go.
There could be, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get another, maybe episode 6, for example, maybe back on Earth 1 and it'll be all them again. And let's get BBA to the house. Let's get BBA to whatever.
Yeah, it's possible.
I could totally see that. So... No, obviously there's some character stuff throughout the episode. Obviously we had some conflicts. I particularly loved the moment because we get this whole journey with French where he's feeling very stressed about college and his future, and he has this meet up with this guy who he has sex with. And it's funny is I actually thought this scene was really well directed when he's picked up because I was getting really tense. I thought something bad might happen.
Yeah, I get it.
Is this shady meet up? The camera was like sort of behind him the whole time. But it was almost this kind of relief where the post-coital like conversation over milkshakes of all things was actually kind of sweet, and the guy gave him some pretty decent advice. I was like, okay, all right.
But I get why it was filmed that way because
he's
acting shady about it. He's not like being really open about it, is he? He's kind of okay.
It's all very secretive.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene about this whole stuff, even though I really liked the advice scene because it was actually really sweet, surprisingly. But it was when he tells Steve's like, you're acting better all of a sudden. Did you get laid last night? And he just gives him this look. He's like, oh, you did? Oh, who was it? Was it that girl? And he's like, it wasn't the girl. And there's this moment of a pause where you think French seems to think that Steve might be taking this, awkwardly, that he's uncomfortable with it. And then a couple of seconds passed, and Steve just starts talking about how French clearly has the hots for him, and that's why there's so much tension. And it's kind of delightful
as ever.
Yeah, so no, it was actually a really delightful scene. It made me like both characters just a little bit more, and that was cool. Whereas Jesse, who's been mostly quite quiet this episode, does have one scene where he's getting some oxy because he's having trouble sleeping, he's having nightmares. And all that kind of thing. And we should mention there's also implications that one of them, seemingly BBA, because she has that dream early on. I guess they're all having dreams though. That at least one of them might be a medium and not realize it yet, or have, abilities such as.
Yeah. That's what the medium says as well. It's like, oh, okay. If this is a person you didn't even actively know, one of you must be a pretty powerful medium and not realize it.
Yeah, either that or because the way I read it before it came to that scene where she said that, I thought, maybe because OA is like a bridge kind of here.
I think that's the easy assumption, and I agree with that. But maybe there is more to it.
Yeah, maybe there is. Maybe that's why it's only safe for BBA. If BBA has some sort of an ability.
Yeah, it could be.
Like, can BBA aim? Like, because we know OA got it from the woman when she died, and we had that very bright, colourful scene. She ate the bird. This show is weird at times, guys. Just go with it.
Yeah,
right.
It says a lot. You're saying that, and I'm not even reacting. So yeah, that's whatever.
But like we know that's how OA was able to aim. But I wonder if like BBA has more of a natural ability to aim. And aim's not the right word to navigate between dimensions.
Yeah.
And
it could be.
It could be that, or like I say, it could be one of the things we already talked about. Which I feel like those are more likely, but I mean, any of them are up in the air. Yeah, they're all fair game. So no, this was a delightful episode. Joe, I actually I kept wondering to myself that are we going to meet someone on this Earth who we've already met in Earth 2? like an alternate version of someone.
Okay, like the detective or something like that.
Yeah, you're just whoever. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm with you. It never even crossed my mind because we were just so focused on the group.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could have done.
It was
no
no, it was
why
when the girl invited them to stay with her. I thought, do we know her? Because she it was the way she like came in and felt kind of prominent for a second.
No, I'm with you.
But that's not the case. I do like the fact that they're playing with the idea that they're kind of like local heroes right now because of what they did at the shooting.
To some people.
To some people, yeah. To the girl, to the cop even, who kind of lets them go with the speeding.
Yeah.
Just, drive safe, go home. I like when Steve wants to like recruit people, just kind of like OA did. Andrew quite rightly points out, there's going to be a bunch of nut jobs who think like they're going to test you because you survived that shooting. They might want to show up and try and shoot you. Like she says, "Oh, unless we can put metal detectors in wherever we're going to screen these people, we're not doing." And I was like, "This is I like that they're not going super deep into it, but there's just a line here or there that kind of like the reaction to what they did at that shooting and how everyone can't understand it."
With good reason, because they stood up and did a little dance.
Yeah, and French at one point quite rightly says, one of the things we said at the end of last season is, like, we just did something weird and it distracted them long enough. Like, that's really all that happened. But then like, others are like, no, but is there more to this? And obviously, given this show, there kind of is. But
not necessarily. But what they did wasn't necessarily directly influencing the shooting, right?
Sure.
It could have actually just been, even on top of all the weird stuff that's going on, the interdimensional travel, that can all be true. And it can have just been a distraction.
Yeah. But they also theorized that OA intentionally kind of was right where she needed to be.
Herself, yeah.
Which, again, given this show, I can't really discount.
It's possible, yeah.
I can't discount. There's lots of little details of that here that make it all tick. So yeah, some of my favorite stuff is like them just deciding to do these crazy things that people wouldn't normally do. Let's go and get this mirror, and just on the off chance, and it was meant to be on the way to the other city to get the train, so BB-8 could go and live with cousins or sisters or whatever, and then it was like, no, now we have to travel and go to the other city to get the mirror, or we have to then travel to this medium, and they kept just taking these further leaps of faith, and it's how important OA was to them and the effect that she had on all of them.
Yeah, as BB-8 puts it, when they're in the motel room, whatever it was, it's like, we'll never meet anyone like.
Yeah. You cut off at the end of that sentence, but yeah, we got the gist.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so no, as probably my favorite episode of the 3 so far.
Well, it's easy. Yeah, I mean, as people can probably tell, it's easily my favorite.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the other stuff like you do, but this was exciting being back with these characters and have them.
Yeah.
Get involved in the plot in a way that's maybe different than usual, because they might never come over to the other Earth, but they still might help.
Oh, definitely, yeah. No, this is what I wanted from season 2. This episode, this is what I wanted out of the show at this point.
And this idea that OA is in trouble, and maybe this is the thing that Hap can't predict, that she has allies on the other Earth who are going to come and help, and so maybe not physically come and help, but help in some way, that she's got backup in a way that he didn't predict.
Can Rachel travel back and forth now, or is she stuck?
That's a good question.
She return and pass on a message.
I would guess no at this point, but it also wouldn't shock me if they turn around and say she can.
Yeah, that's what I'm not saying she definitely can, but it's a possibility.
Going in the theory that she's only back in this Earth because this is where she came from, I don't think she can travel back and forth. I think she came back here because this was where she came from. This was her home.
That's fair.
So, interesting.
Begs the question: Is she definitively dead? That body on Earth 2, or is this an extended NDE? And will she get yanked back to that body if something happens? I don't know.
She looked pretty dead.
She looked fairly dead. She did, which is why I didn't question it at the end of last episode. But
so again, let's go back to the idea, back to the timeline here, because Hap and his group travelled over, presumably pretty quickly after he dumped OA at the side of the road.
I would assume so, yeah.
Right. So they came over, I think at one point in the last episode they mentioned 2 months. I actually thought it was longer than that, but sure, 2 months.
I thought it was longer than that as well, but sure, a few months, whatever.
And that's fine. So here's my question then: if Homer in the mirror was real Homer last season, And
When
do you
did
know,
it
I
come?
love that that has more context. I love that that was so weird and out of nowhere at the time, but now I'm like, oh, now we have some
Oh,
context for
mirrors.
this.
That's a thing.
Yeah, this is a thing now. I'm like, was that really Homer? And is it because Homer couldn't go into the body in this Earth did he bounce back, essentially?
Yeah, is he trapped in a mirror somewhere as well?
Yeah. In a waste house.
Yeah.
So, you know...
And in the same way that, Rachel came to, Oa's friends,
yeah.
uh,
Homer just came for her.
came for her, yeah.
But she wasn't there. Yeah, it was French who happened to be there when he...
But I mean, there's a logic to it.
There's a logic, yeah. And I can see it being brought back up in some way.
Yeah.
I suppose the interesting difference here is that Homer's never found out about these people, so he won't trust them to tell them anything necessarily. If French has the idea of trying to contact him and say, okay, we've got another one we can talk to, it might be more difficult.
We get though, a way for Homer and Rachel to communicate?
Yeah. And potentially Homer could still end up in Earth 2 with Homer's body, and Dr. Homer.
So it's not ruled out, yeah.
Yeah. Somehow he's got a place he could go potentially.
Yes.
But all very interesting. No, I love this episode. I like the first two a lot, but this is the... Yes.
Yeah. I was really into this one.
So there you go. That is episode 3 of the OA, so by all means let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Any thoughts and theories relevant to up until this point in the season. Nothing from beyond, of course. Let's keep this spoiler free for anything past this point. But thoughts and theories up until now are welcome. And anything, or any little details we missed or anything we've forgotten from last season that's relevant would be also helpful. So yeah, by all means. So yeah, let us know what you think. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month. Get some stuff early, get some exclusives, but otherwise just feel warm and fuzzy inside because you're supporting us. And YouTube ad revenue ain't what it used to be, and more reviews can keep coming forever and ever and ever until we have an NDA and go to another Earth.
Can we keep doing this on another Earth?
I think we can. In fact, we even have a show called Comics from the Multiverse. I feel like I can just keep that title on Earth 2.
We're primed.
Yes, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. I always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got Eddie Vanilla?